Around. Friends, a very good morning to all of you. When Pallavi Ben first talked to me about coming to this program, I was wondering what relevance I would have to the chamber which works on arbitration. But I think you've prepared a very apt theme with India emerging as a new global manufacturing hub and something which will need us to have a very robust framework in which people can operate, in which people can get stable and predictable policies, a good legal framework where the rule of law prevails. And therefore, it's a very welcome initiative that very illustrious legal minds are going to sit down and address several issues related to the arbitration ecosystem in India and the overall learnings that we can get from international experts on the subject. Looking at the young boys and girls, it kind of reminds me of my own law college days. Only thing is, I was probably not a very diligent student since I had never planned to practice law. But I must tell you, all through my life, whether it was when I ran my own industry, whether it was my work as an investment banker, and even more so in my work as a minister of the government of India, I find the learnings that I had in those old days, and it's now 40 years since I was in law college, those learnings hold me in good stead even today. Whenever I'm either finalizing something, looking at a file, approving or disapproving any proposal, or when I'm negotiating bilateral trade agreements. And very clearly, what one really prepares a law graduate for is an analytical thinking process which helps them address the issues on hand, understand them smarter and better, find the nuances on the subject, and come up with innovative solutions. And therefore, it's very important that arbitration mechanisms are robust. Arbitration is a mechanism that can cut down a lot of judicial delays if both parties are sincere in their acceptance of arbitration results. Of course, sometimes there are concerns about the quality of arbitration. It's often a matter of deep concern for us in government for two reasons: whether the government was able to present its case smart enough and well enough before the arbitrators, and second, whether the arbitration truly carried justice or was over-influenced by the influence of large corporates or larger international thinking. And therefore, I think it's a cause which we will have to all reflect on, how arbitration can be made more robust, how it can generate confidence in all the stakeholders, and how we can look at making arbitration and mediation much more popular in our working, both inter-se companies or with the government and corporate on two sides. And I do believe that if India continues to grow the way it is, and we continue to power on our manufacturing ecosystem the way we are hoping to, we will obviously have disputes, we will obviously have areas of disagreement, and if we can keep the courts unclogged, our desire to become a global manufacturing hub will get a big boost. India offers to the world as an investment destination, as a country to trade with. 4 or 5 very significant advantages. But the biggest one of them all is democracy. The fact that we are a country that respects the rule of law, the fact that we have a very vibrant media, a very, very strong judicial oversight on the working of the government, on the working of every policy that we frame, the fact that everybody is assured of justice at the end of the day, and everybody has a right to national treatment, equal treatment before the law, and the judiciary is there to protect everybody's interest, is something that is I would say, the fulcrum around which our global ambitions lie. And we are very proud of this democracy, of our ferociously independent judiciary. Of course, there are several other very compelling reasons which make India a candidate to become a global manufacturing hub. Most of all, I would say, is our young population, the demographic dividend that India offers. We have average age of 28.3 years, making us one of the youngest large nations, and expected to continue to be young for almost 3 decades going forward. 2/3 of our people in the working age group, producing the highest number of STEM graduates in the world today. 43% of them are women, by the way. And this talent pool, this powerhouse of skills, is something that the world is yearning for. It needs. Of course, the demand that 1.4 billion, 140 crore aspirational Indians bring to the table add to India's attractiveness, because there's such a large domestic demand which helps bring scale to manufacturing. And based on that scale, it helps make our manufacturing much more competitive, our manufactured goods affordable, which helps us then foray into the international market. So it's like a beads in a necklace. You have several reasons or several beads in a necklace. India provides those various beads in a necklace which help us in the Make in India initiative. Digital India has an equally important role to play. The fact that we are connected, interconnected throughout the country. You can get 5G in a remote corner of India far better than maybe in one of the top 10 cities in the world today. Our effort towards promoting various social welfare initiatives play an important role, because they make every person living in India free of the tensions and the burdens of day-to-day life, and help them to aspire for big things in life, aspire to dream big, look for a better quality of life in the future. And these elements drive India's growth story. We are currently the world's fastest growing large economy, having grown in the last decade by over 105% in terms of the GDP. As the IMF says, we are the only country in the world to have demonstrated this kind of doubling of the economy in 8 years, 9 years. Amongst the only, and this is with 2 years lost in COVID. We are amongst the only countries that has grown from the 11th largest GDP to the 5th largest GDP in the world in a span of 8 years. Hopefully by the end of calendar 25 or early 26, we'll become the 4th largest, crossing Japan. And I think before 27, couple of years, 2 or 2.5 years from now, we should become the world's 3rd largest GDP. And friends, this can only happen when we collectively as a nation look at significant and decisive decisions being taken. We need to reform. We need to make it easier to do business. We need to make the lives of our people easier, ease of living as we call it. We need to make sure that truly, when we attract investments from across the world, they find safety, they find continuity, they find it attractive to invest in India. We need to make sure that in terms of ease of setting up a manufacturing unit, in terms of getting going, we really are inviting as a nation. And therefore, this government has actually focused on 2 or 3 very important elements which we believe will help us becoming a global manufacturing hub. And if you ask me, the number one achievement of the last decade, I would say it is trust. Today the world trusts India. Today the world recognizes that when you work with India or with Indians on the table across, you can trust them to deliver. You can trust them to be honest in their work. Just the other day, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, our Parliamentary Affairs Minister, and some of us were having a chat, and he said even today, in all of the Northeast, a small trader in the village, once you do a transaction with him or you even keep money with him, or you buy something from him, nobody keeps records. His word of mouth is more than the weight of gold or any amount of gold around. There's so much trust in the business ecosystem there. And as a nation, we need to generate that trust, to build that trust. And I think the effort Prime Minister Modi has done over the last few years in generating confidence in the globe about the India story clearly has helped make us a trusted partner of the world. If you just look at the number of awards that Prime Minister Modi got in the last few years, almost 21 international awards from other countries or multilateral organizations. I don't know of a second leader in the world who may have been bestowed with so many honors of the highest order. And that trust is two-way. The people trust Prime Minister Modi, businesses trust Prime Minister Modi because he trusts the people of India. I remember when we came out with a Jan Vishwas bill a couple of years ago, through one bill and now an act, Jan Vishwas Act passed, I think, early 24. We had decriminalized over 180 provisions of law, spanning about 42 different acts of parliament, covering 18 different departments of the central government, through one law. And we called it the Jan Vishwas Bill, and now the Jan Vishwas Act. Jan Vishwas is people's trust. And the idea behind naming it as Jan Vishwas Bill was that the people should get the confidence that the government trusts you. We don't want to put you behind bars. We don't want you to go through a court process or an elaborate, difficult judicial scrutiny for minor misdemeanors or for minor mistakes where there's no mala fide involved, where there's a bona fide error which could be rectified by some penalty or some sort of minor punishment, monetary punishment, which keeps you at least free of the tension and free of the difficulties of worrying about everything that you're doing in life. Incidentally, we are now working on a Jan Vishwas 2 bill. And if any of you has any ideas, we will welcome it. We are on the verge of finalizing it. And we have sought comments from a lot of legal luminaries across. But even now, we are open to suggestions. Any law which can help make the lives of business and our citizens better, easier, less confrontational is something we would like to do. Over 40,000 compliances, big and small, of the nature where you could easily make the procedure simpler. You could make the process simpler. You can make the fines more easy or penalties more easy to administer, or even forgive people for minor misdemeanors. Not take action for at least the first or second mistake, which need not be something that a person has done deliberately. And by and large, it's not very difficult to make these assessments. Effort is that we move more and more towards trust and change the mindset of the nation, which over the last several decades had become very, very suspicious of any and everything that anybody would do. And that's our own belief are some of the enablers which will help India as a nation emerge as a global manufacturing hub, India as a nation deliver to the investors, both domestic and international. And I think the statistics bear us out as we see more and more people looking at coming to India. And just a week ago, I get a message that a large German company CEO would like to talk to me. The end of the day, when I was through with most of my meetings, I called him up late in the night because knowing that Germany would still be open. Turned out that he was in India at that time, so I must have woken him up late in the night. And I asked him, what's the issue? And he said, look, we've been wooing that company for quite some time. We've been hoping that they would look at significant investments coming into the country. And he says that we have finally decided we want to put in $1.5 billion into India. We are looking for a parcel of land which is about 250 acres. It'll be a chemical industry, so it'll need to be near the port, near the sea, and the few requirements that he had. I was able to, and he had a particular area in mind, which is largely having a lot of chemical industry, so that there's synergy of working with the local area. And fortunately, I was going to visit that state the next day. So I said, just send me all the details on a piece of paper. The next day I was visiting the state, talked to the chief minister. We were able to accept his request, identify the land, ensure that that's reserved for this company. His boss wanted to fly in from Germany to meet the chief minister on 31st, which is Eid and a holiday. So he was saying we may not be able to get an appointment. So the chief minister said, don't worry, you can come on Sunday the 30th, which is an auspicious day. It's Gudi Padwa, an auspicious day where we look at fresh beginnings. And the gentleman is flying in tomorrow, or today he'll reach. Tomorrow morning he's meeting the chief minister. He'll have the allotment of land in his hand, and we'll have $1.5 billion of foreign direct investment coming into the country over the next 12 months. We need to make it so much easier for investors, and the same for Indian investors. We should not be looking at, we like the foreign investor, but the Indian investor goes through hell. And our effort is that that ease of doing business pathway is available for everybody. Our access is available for everybody, and nobody needs to come to us. The effort is more and more decentralized processes. It's because we had been wooing this company that he approached me. I'm sure if he had gone to the state on his own, he would have got the same treatment. He would have got the piece of land quickly. He would have been able to invest. Should he have had any problem, we have an investment promotion agency in the country, willing to handhold and work with anybody, Indian or foreign, to help them come into the country. And that, I think, is generating a new confidence in investors. Wherever investors feel that any law is coming in the way of their investment, whenever they see any unfair competition because of predatory pricing or dumping of goods from any country, we are willing and ready to help, whether it's through anti-dumping measures, safeguard measures, or any measure that is required to protect domestic manufacturing. And now I think, looking at the world scenario, we are going to see more and more Atmanirbharta, self-reliance come into countries working. This is going to become the order of the day as we go forward. Something which Prime Minister Modi has been talking of for the last 10 years is now becoming the theme across borders, across the world. And I would believe that the various initiatives taken by the government, be it our effort to simplify the income tax law, be it our effort to change all those colonial laws passed over 75 years ago, make them more contemporary, make them more relevant to the day-to-day, make them easier to operate, understand, implement. Of course, during change, there will be some discomfort. Maybe some of the lawyers may feel that, oh, what was the need to change the Indian Penal Code? It's been going on. But that's the mindset as a nation we want to change. We have to be abreast with modern times. And I don't know why even some of the people, including some in the opposition, raised objection to a law which is trying to bring down the judicial time taken to give justice to the people of India. Anything that's being done to make delivery of justice faster, more efficient. I don't know whether lawyers like it, though you may have a little less law cases going forward. But I'm sure we are all collective in our desire and our vision to make it simpler to administer justice, bring online processes. Chandigarh, we have already implemented the new criminal laws. And we are finding that it has actually impacted people's desire to go to the justice system to right a wrong, and the delivery of justice, particularly with technology at our command, and lesser adjournments and lesser delays in administering justice, has started yielding results. And maybe another year or so, this will be applicable throughout the country and the processes will be in place so that people get more confidence in our judicial processes. I do believe this speedy justice using technology, using more contemporary laws, engaging with laws with an international context before us is the way forward. And I think all our friends from the legal fraternity will play a very important role in drafting clear, robust, and internationally benchmarked laws going forward, which will balance investors' interests and the country's priorities. I'm sure all of you will help us through your effort on arbitration, mediation, to make delivery of justice faster and make India hopefully a global hub of arbitration, so we don't need to have contracts stipulating London or Singapore as the place of arbitration. I'm sure all of you will help designing and drafting smarter and better dispute resolution clauses in the contracts that we enter into. I'm sure you'll guide industries in evolving a regulatory landscape that's truly contemporary, that's easy to manage, operate, and deliver, and will help investments coming to India. In fact, our R&D investments, our innovation ecosystem can benefit a lot if we have smarter IP laws. And we are open to suggestions other than evergreening patents. We are open to every other suggestion to make our intellectual property laws more robust. We've been trying to speed up the delivery of patents and trademarks and copyright approvals, design approvals. We're really making an effort to make that much more seamless, completely online, no physical interaction anymore, hopefully no rent seeking. Even the judicial process of hearing that goes into the IP ecosystem, we are trying to completely make that only online through video conferencing, which will be recorded to ensure fairness and fair play. And I do hope we all in government will receive the support of all the distinguished members of the legal fraternity in helping us bring efficiency to the entire judicial framework, particularly through technology integration. As Prime Minister Modi says, and I'd like to quote, justice is at the root of independent self-governance, and without justice, even the existence of a nation is not possible. And therefore, you friends are at the heart of our effort to make India a global powerhouse of manufacturing, a global powerhouse, delivering services to the world, a country integrated with the world economy on fair terms, on balanced terms, on equally beneficial, terms which respect each other's mutual sensitivities and requirements. And friends from the legal fraternity will always be at the forefront of ensuring to the world not only protection but fair play, which we on our part are trying our very best to ensure, and will continue to engage with all of you for better ideas and better suggestions towards India as the new global manufacturing hub. Thank you.
I would like to request Mrs. Pallavi Shroff to deliver a vote of thanks to the Minister.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Justice Roy, Honorable Minister, Mr. Ganguly, Carlos, and dear friends. Piyush bhai, a very, very big thank you to you for accepting my invitation and the invitation of UIA to come to this session. In fact, when you said that what would you do among lawyers, I said you were the most suited to speak at this session because of the topic itself, the global new manufacturing hub. And India certainly wants to be the global manufacturing hub, with manufacturing contributing to about 25% of the GDP. That's the aim. And over the decade, as you mentioned, so a lot of steps have been taken by the government, starting almost a decade ago and more with the Make in India concept and sort of spreading it across the world, literally, inviting people to come, making investments easier. There will always be challenges for a nation like us with so much diversity, so many other challenges. The central-state relationships over the years as they evolve. But I think this conference comes, and your speech today comes at a very appropriate time because of two reasons, I think. The first is that India has always been now considered, especially more so after COVID, as the China +1. But I am quite sure the government doesn't want to be the +1. This government has never aspired to be just a plus to something else. They aspire to be the #1 hub. So at this point of time, this conference discussing how India can become the new global manufacturing hub comes very appropriate. And so you are the right speaker for this conference. Thank you so much. The other reason I think this topic is so apt for today is given that multilateralism is actually disbanding itself, and it's more bilateralism and trade and a lot of protectionism, which we are seeing and you are grappling with on a day-to-day basis. I think discussing how India can deal with the bilateralism and the protectionism that the world powers are all sort of pushing towards, I think how India can, I would say, take advantage of that to some extent, because we have to find the silver lining in whatever is happening in the global world order. I think this is a very, very apt. And so whatever you've said over during this conference is very apt, gives us a lot of light, and our friends from all over the world, you know, what India aspires, how we want to go about doing it. Of course, there are many more steps that need to be taken. And so what we appreciate is that this is going to be a partnership between the people of India and the government. I think that is the most important thing. That gives a two-way confidence sir, as you mentioned. But thank you so much for accepting our invitation and being here. I know you have a very busy schedule. You have deadlines to meet. It's not only lawyers who meet the deadline, but you also have a very, very large deadline. So we wish you the best in all the negotiations that you have to do. But thank you for being here.